Hey everybody, I wanted to give you an update on the process of the homecoming. That's what I decided to call this series, the process of moving on to the new life, leaving all this behind. Yeah, I'm gonna miss Irvine. Irvine was good. Of all the chapters that Yumiko and I have shared together since age 24, now 56, almost the two of us, a few months short, 4 months short. Of all that, I would have to say this has probably been one of the best chapters. It's going to be hard to beat. It's going to be very hard to beat living in this community right here. Irvine wasn't what I expected. I expected it to be Disneyland for adults, and in many ways it is. I mean, look at this. I mean, it's like living in Disneyland. You know, master planned, architected, designed community. You know, started off as a large ranch, enormous, ginormous, like almost like a Spanish land grant that has been transformed into basically a family founded and run community. Everywhere from the city architecture design to the water district, everything. I'm sure it's not all family stuff now, it's a real company, but it really made a difference. We chose this community because of it was a safe community, and namely for the educational system here. So many people from elsewhere in the world. Irvine has a really good English language program, so we chose that for our daughter, to help her acclimate to life in America and to the English language, make it her own. But anyway, this is all about to change in a very different way. The place that we're headed, Ventura, California, is both familiar and different. Familiar because we lived there for so long. You know, Santa Barbara, California is Yumiko and I are adopted America hometown. It's the place in America that where both of us have lived the longest, over 10 years. Yet different. Ventura, we never lived in Ventura proper, although close. We lived in Ojai when Emily was born. Anyway, we're going back. So I want to just give you guys an update. It's the 9th of December about my plans, my family's plans, and both professionally and personally, in reverse order. Personally, there's not much to do to ready ourselves. It's more psychological than anything else. All I'll need to simply do is pack my clothes, my nice dress wear, and put my clothes and myself on the motorcycle with some toiletries, toothbrush and a comb, and I'll be off to Ventura to start my new job. My boss, who might see this video, hey there, my new boss, who used to be my old boss, actually I wound up with this position by virtue of the fact that the current head of the IT for the city of Ventura was someone that I used to be in my chain of command, and who I'm very fortunate that he reached out to me to basically ask if I might be interested in applying for this job, which I'm almost there. This is close to having it finalized. So, hey boss. Thank you for your support in the past and for your potential support in the future. I look forward to building a project management office with you for the city. I gulp a little bit at the thought, right? I mean, I built a project management office for my current agency, small office, but nevertheless, there it is. Building one for the city is another affair. Although the city is smaller than the county that I used to work, there's something about doing it for a city that's interesting, a challenge, and I'm eager for that challenge. Anyway, back to the personal bits. I think I'm ready personally, and I was just talking to my daughter. We were up in the apartment and I was preparing dinner, and I said, "Are you ready for Dad to be gone again during the week?" And she said, "Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I'll be home on the weekends, not like when I came from Japan." So I think we're ready for that. I got butterflies in my tummy, a little bit of discomfort and uncertainty. This new phone can take snapshots like that. Wow. So I think I'm ready for that. How about professionally? I think I am. Now, let's put on the technical face. Let's put on the glasses. My glasses never sit straight. So on a professional front, preparing to start a project management office, I want to document this process because I want to create a template by which municipalities, large and small, that don't have PMOs, project management organizations or project management offices, might be able to do so. And this will be basically a roadmap, and I'm going to document this via my Q2PM blog at q2pm.com. I'll document it via that blog and record the process to create a recipe first. Basically. Now the first step in that is the newly hired, this close. I just have to go through finish the background check and references check, and then I'll be ready to exit my current job, which I've given them notice. They found somebody to replace me from within the organization. That's a nice thing about being a large organization. Someone actually that I trained. Hey Juan, I trained him on the particular project management methodology. Juan comes to the job amply qualified in many other ways, and in fact he's overqualified in some ways. He's really a good man for the job. But he's going to be taking my current position. And then I can basically, by the end of the week, potentially by the end of the week, this might be my last week, maybe 3 more days. So what I've done is, our project management methodology is run through an infrastructure in Office 365 through SharePoint Online. So I created this originally years ago, 3-4 years ago, maybe almost 5 years ago, when I was the project manager that built the transition to our organization, the County of Riverside Department of Social Services, from on-premise Office 365 into Office 365 in the cloud. And then I was also the project manager that implemented the SharePoint Online component, and by my own decision, I decided we need some governance around that. I initiated the Department of Social Services SharePoint Online Governance Committee, of which I still facilitate to this day, 4 or 5 years later. So I know a lot about implementing SharePoint Online and creating an infrastructure, creating site collections and the like. And one of the things I did along that way was I asked the sysadmins, hey, can I have my own little SharePoint site collection? Because I have this idea to build a SharePoint infrastructure custom tuned and dedicated for project management, where I can have custom lists, libraries, a hierarchy, a taxonomy, and governance around that. And that's exactly what they did. They gave me that infrastructure with management's blessing. I then spent several years building out the tool set within SharePoint and finding ways to replicate that so that I could create, instantiate SharePoint sites as needed for projects. Each project gets its own SharePoint site. So with the idea that someday I may take the show on the road, I, in my spare time, created my own, went out to Microsoft and created my own, on my own dime, SharePoint tenant, where I then replicated that entire thing, basically mirrored it out. Everything that I had created for the county, I developed out in my own tenant, and including recreating all the documents, but I changed them where they were highly customized for the county over here. I made them more generic over here. Again, the idea was that, ostensibly my idea was that I was thinking that I might be able to take the show on the road to work with nonprofits, maybe charitable organizations that needed a project manager to help them out. Hey, I could volunteer and I could use my own SharePoint infrastructure to do that. So lo and behold, when this job opportunity came along, hey, well, guess what? I've already got the infrastructure all built. So this is the steps. So when that happened, I then reached out to my new boss, asking about the current projects. Actually, he volunteered that first. He beat me to the punch. I was going to do that, and he sent me the list of the projects that were going to be my immediate ones. What I was doing while he was preparing that list, I was preparing a charter. That's something I listed in one of my first blogs on this subject, was the charter, which lists out the 30-day, 160-day, and 1-year goals. So I've laid out my first year plan into short, medium, and long-term objectives. While I was doing that, he came up with a list of projects. Now, we kind of crossed along the way. I sent him the charter for review. He sent me the documents for review. And while he was reviewing the charter, I then took that list of projects and spun up the various sites and added a dashboard, added them to the dashboard for the new site. Now, I'm not going to run the City of Ventura's projects out of my own proprietary private SharePoint site. That wouldn't be good. I shouldn't run government infrastructure or anybody else's infrastructure through my own private site. But I will use it as the model, so or the starting point when I start my first day at City of Ventura. I'll hit the ground running. Bam, my feet will be going. I can immediately start attending meetings, going to people. I know who the people are. They're all out there. And then in my spare cycles, remember, I won't have anybody to go home to in the evening, so I'll be working late. I'll then spin up a site collection over at City of Ventura, because they have SharePoint too, I'll spin up a site collection, do all the customizations, and then replicate everything over into the new site. Eventually, I'll be able to cut off that and have the new site. Now, what I plan to do with what I created over here, I'm not just going to delete it. I will take out the private information, but I will use that as a template to potentially share with other municipalities. Remember, the idea here is to find a way to take Q2PM and make it helpful to make the world a better place. And if I can use this information and these templates that I've created, this first dashboard, these first sites, because every city, county, every municipality out there of every size, every government agency of every size will have, if they don't have a PMO, a project management office, they'll have a need to spin up start, and they'll have a handful of top priority projects that they'll need to create, to establish right from the first, and that the project manager that will take over the PMO will need to hit the ground running with. What I'm going to do then, of course, is then round out that dashboard with all the rest of the projects. And I plan to do this by dividing them into projects and products, where the distinction being that a project is a one-off, unique start, end date, life cycle, dedicated life cycle, and then the product, though, is something that we create that doesn't really go away, like applications we may build, or software, long-term enterprise level software that we will be running for a long time. I'm thinking a decade or more. Those will be handled more as products. You can leverage a lot of agile methods and terminology for my product management. And fortunately, I'm really excited. My new boss at the city has agreed, or at least he likes the idea of handling long service applications and IT infrastructure as products rather than projects. So that's interesting. So the dashboard will have those two pieces. I have that dashboard, my own dashboard complete. I have so we crossed ways. I sent him the charter, my new boss the charter, and he sent me the list of projects. He reviewed the charter and sent it back to me, gave me a thumbs up with a couple of changes. I made those changes, finalized it. And while I was doing that, I've been building out, it took me a little more time, built out the infrastructure. I have the dashboard, I have the initial projects laid out, and I'm about to send him that back probably today or tomorrow for his approval. And so hopefully he'll see that when I arrive, I'm not arriving without some good amount of work all the way done, already underway. And to that end, I do need to credit the previous project manager who did a great job. This was a contract project manager working for the city on a contract basis. He did a very good job of creating a transition document, laying out what the projects are, who the stakeholders are, where they stand, and where the critical documents are. I know where all that is. Once I get in, I'll be able to utilize those right away. So good job to you. Thank you for doing that. Probably going to send you a friend request on Facebook because I appreciate your good effort. You're someone that I would like to keep in touch with, develop a professional relationship with. So the last step, like I said, in making this final is passing the FBI background check. Well, actually, it's not FBI in this case. It's Department of Justice. Pardon me. So there's two components for a live scan, fingerprint check. Goes through the FBI and the Department of Justice. I should be okay because I've done 2 of these in the last 3 years and passed both. Although it was funny, it wasn't a live scan, it was more of a background check. I got interviewed by the sheriffs, and they really gave me the 3rd degree, as they say, everything almost with the spotlight. But they came up with all kinds of stuff. I won't list it out. All kinds of stuff that I wasn't aware of. What a bad guy I'd been. Until about midway through the interview, the sheriff looked at me and he said, so, because he couldn't understand all this quizzical look on my face. I'm like, what? Huh? What? No, that's not, I never had that happen. He says, you're Kenneth Bell, right? I said, well, no. My name is Kurt Bell. Kurt Randall Bell. Excuse me, Mr. Bell. I'll be back in a moment. He had the wrong guy. Oh boy. Anyway, so hopefully they got that straightened out. Oh, they're doing a background check on me right now. They have another organization that actually checks all my references, all the companies that I worked for and the references I gave. And one of them was software.com. And so they called software. I'm not laughing at them at all. It's just kind of a funny situation. They called software.com to ask if I'd worked there. They're like, we never heard of him. No. Well, Kurt Bell, who the heck is that? Well, software.com is the company that I worked for years ago, over a decade ago, long over a decade ago. That company has since transitioned into another company called OpenWave Systems, which I believe now is no longer around, although the software I think was purchased, the technology was purchased. So software.com, apparently they sold that domain name. Excellent domain name, right? And of course they didn't know who I was at Software, the current company that owns that domain. So I was able to hook them up with a co-worker there. I was this close to texting John McFarlane, who was the founder, CEO. I expect he's probably a billionaire right now, because he went on to found the company, the audio company Sonos. I remember John telling me one day over beers out of a balcony at software.com on State Street in Santa Barbara, telling me, you know, Kurt, the next thing is home audio. By golly, he did it. I was this close to texting John on LinkedIn and saying, hey John, can I give someone your number? They want to know if I ever worked for software.com. Imagine that. I didn't do it. I reached out to my good buddy Rugburn, who is now a director at Google. That's not his name, that's his nickname. But so hopefully there'll be no director at Google. He volunteered to do that, so I gave him a call. So hopefully he'll vouch for me that I indeed did actually work for software.com, aka OpenWave. And with that, 16 minutes in, that's how we stand with the transition. The next thing for me to do is to go upstairs, change into my bathing suit, come down here, do my laps, go back up, change into some nice street clothes, take my dogs for a nice 3-mile walk, come home. Maybe my wife will be home by then. She's got a tough week though, she might not be home. And have dinner, I'll finish making dinner, and then go to bed, start another day. I'd like to thank you for joining me for another edition. This is as we chronicle the homecoming experience of going home to the Ventura, Santa Barbara area. Yumiko and I even entertained the thought of maybe living in Santa Barbara again and just commuting to Ventura, totally within commuting distance. Wouldn't that be something? Wow. More videos to come. So this is kind of a twofer, you know, reminiscing of the life to come, forecasting the life to come, and project management methodology. Q2PM. So remember, make every meeting matter. Take care, everybody.